I've always been a huge fan of Fallout since the very beginning. 1997, went to my local, I think it was On Q at the time, or Sam Goody, I can't remember which one came first. Picked up a copy of Fallout, and I fell in love. And even though the voice of Ron Perlman constantly wants to remind us that war never changes, Fallout has. And over the course of 21 years, and being passed around from one studio to the next, Fallout has evolved, you could say. Now, I have to admit, right out the gate, I am not a big fan of what Bethesda has done to Fallout. And while this may be just, another case of the old man shaking his fist at the clouds, angry that things aren't the way they used to be, I think there's more to it. And that's not to say that I think everything that Bethesda has done is bad. Honestly, at first I was kind of let down when I saw Fallout 3. I was like, oh darn, it's first person. I really was hoping for another isometric turn-based RPG, but I understand people aren't really digging that these days. So eventually, with the help of my wife and one of my best friends, pooling together some money and buying an old Xbox 360 Arcade Edition and a copy of Fallout 3, I finally got to dive in and make up my own mind as to how well Bethesda is handling the franchise. And after numerous hours of me sitting down to play the game and my lovely wife sitting next to me with the Brady Games Guide, flipping through it page by page as we went area to area to 100% this game, I fell in love. I thought Fallout 3 was a really well put together game. It had its flaws like every game does. Nothing is ever perfect, but Fallout 3 really, I think, still had the same structure, the same guts. It was dark, it was gritty. There was just something about it that you felt the isolation. You felt those little jabs of dark humor that we were left with, or I should say introduced to, by Fallout 2. But then as time went on, we were given Fallout 4, which I really didn't care for. I felt it was more of just a shooter with RPG-like mechanics with a Fallout skin over the top of it. It really wasn't my thing, but I know a lot of my friends enjoyed it. But I still to this day will die on the hill that it's not that great of a Fallout game. It's a good game. It's just not a great Fallout game, and it's not for me. That being said, I never put any amount of time into Fallout 76. And Fallout 76 came out 6 years ago as of this recording? And in all this time, the only opinion that I had was that this game sucks. And this wasn't even my opinion. This was just me watching Twitch streams and other YouTube channels covering Fallout 76. And what I saw, I instantly was like, this is ass. This is dog water. This is one of the biggest pieces of shit that I've ever seen in an attempt to capitalize on a franchise. But just about a week ago, as of this recording, I finally decided that I needed to make an informed decision. I needed to be able to say without a doubt in my mind that this game wasn't for me, to actually try it. And because it's on Game Pass, I wasn't even giving any money to Bethesda, which is what I didn't want to do in the first place. But now I had no reason not to at least give it a chance. And that's what I did. So today we're going to talk about my experience with Fallout 76 in the year 2024 and my thoughts on the game and what I saw and what I liked and didn't like. Surprisingly, there were some things that were done correctly, and you know what? We'll start with the positives and then we'll continue on into the negative aspects of the game. But enough intro rigmarole, let's...
Don't say it.
Dive on in.
And discuss my thoughts on Fallout 76. But let's go ahead and start with some of the positives. There were some aspects of this game that I felt were rather well done, and I should at least acknowledge these positive aspects before we go tearing this game a new asshole. First off, the humor that Fallout has been known for, it's there. It's there. You can't deny it. The quirky, dark humor, it'll always be in Fallout. They didn't leave it out in 76. I commend them for continuing that trend. And the gunplay, I'm not a fan of shooters, but honestly, it just felt good to shoot the guns in the game. They felt responsive, the enemy getting hit with a shotgun shell, all of it, it just felt like it was really well done. So kudos to Bethesda for getting something right. And speaking of guns, the fact that 9 times out of 10 when you get an ammunition drop or you pick up loot, it's generally for your main weapon that you're wielding, which I think is really cool. It kind of knocks out that need to be constantly searching for ammunition for your weapon, or for the need to carry around like a handful of different weapons because you couldn't find your ammo type. I see why they would do that, and this is kind of like a positive negative thing, because it definitely takes away that wasteland feel when you're just like magically tripping over the same ammunition all the time. But from just a gameplay standpoint, I understand why they did it, and it does make a lot of sense, and it kind of smooths out the overall experience. And I don't think it really takes away too much from that post-apocalyptic feel. It is shortly after the bombs fell after all. Maybe they're just shotgun shells lying around everywhere, and everybody was just very adamant about their home defense with all homes have a shotgun. You got to defend against the red scare. The commies are coming, so everybody, I don't know. Maybe everybody had a shotgun, but overall, finding ammunition everywhere and realizing that you didn't have to search for it for hours was kind of nice. And generally, I think the world felt fuller, like there was more stuff. It seemed like there was more in the scenery. You would walk and you would see stuff. It felt more varied when you would go from place to place. You could definitely feel that West Virginia mountainy territory where, there was a lot of variation in height, but it didn't seem like overly rocky or overly barren. There was a nice balance to where it was just easy on the eyes. And if you follow the main quest line, you eventually come across like a rundown, dilapidated old amusement park. And it was, full. It looked like it was actually intended to be an amusement park. And some of the other locations that I found were very similar. I think they did a really good job, at least making the world not feel as empty as what I would say a lot of other Bethesda games have been in the past. And I know one of the main complaints when the game was first released was there were no NPCs. Almost everything was driven by holotape, and how everybody felt like the world was just so empty without NPCs, and how they eventually fixed that. I would like to commend them. The conversations in Fallout 76 actually felt rather natural. Instead of the weird, awkward, conversation wheel that they were trying to work out with in Fallout 4, where it didn't seem to matter what you chose, you often were picking the wrong choice in the dialogue. That's not what I meant. Why did you think that, in the outcomes of the conversations were just baffling? The conversations were well thought out. What you were saying, what you clicked was what you were relaying to the NPC, and the NPCs would respond accordingly. I think they've done a lot better job with that, and I hope in the future, for Bethesda's sake, even though I probably will reluctantly play Fallout 5 when it comes out in 20 years, hopefully they implement that conversation and not try to keep whatever was going on in Fallout 4 moving forward. And I guess one of the last positive things that I can say about it is a Bethesda game. If you like Bethesda games, if you like the Bethesda formula, you'll probably like Fallout 76. It's just with other online aspects that I'm not going to go into because that falls in the negative side of things, because oh boy, did they really try to monetize the shit out of this game. And I'm assuming because it was a multiplayer game that they thought that they could get away with it. And you know what? Let's just start there. Let's move into the negatives and talk about these very, very horrendous and overbearing monetization practices that are in the game. I'm not a huge fan of any of this. I guess one of the most egregious of these is the let's pay caps to fast travel. Now, I understand that caps are abundant in the game. My Twitch chat let me know, oh no, caps are rather abundant. It's not a big deal. If you're going to have fast travel in the game and then you put it behind an in-game currency, it takes out the overall immersion. Why am I paying money to go from point A to point B? It would make sense if I was taking like a donkey cart from point A to point B. But for me to fast travel to specific points, I'm not digging it. And the fact that like you had this other in-game currency that you were getting in order to unlock customizable stuff, like when it came to building. Oh my God, the building. You know what? I'm just gonna play this clip and I'm gonna let you kind of just see what I mean about the building. How about this opening here? No? Are there door jams? Am I missing a wall that has a door opening and to which I can place a door? I have to be missing something, right? Like this has to be user error. This cannot be intentionally built into this fucking game. This is a door. Toggle buildable objects. Variant. You can't even get variants of the door without unlocking. Go to walls and do variant. Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Hold on. Wall. The one wall that we can construct is down here. Holy shit. Jesus. This should not be the... Wow. Okay. It was something I was overlooking. Definitely not fucking straightforward. Definitely not straightforward. That's pretty sad. Okay. And there are windows. Fantastic. The only thing is down here is the variant. There's nothing that explains that, like, to find doors and windows that the variant would be underneath there. There's like no explanation. Now, granted, I'm not the world's smartest guy, and maybe it's because I really didn't dig the base building in Fallout 4. I don't know why we needed base building in Fallout to begin with, but maybe had I played enough of Fallout 4, maybe I would have understood what they meant by variant on the building menu. It's just very convoluted. It's very clunky. It's just not intuitive. There's no intuitiveness to the building mechanic. And given the fact that I've been playing video games for over 30 years, and the fact that it just didn't jump out to me that this is where I'm going to find the doorway, there's something wrong with the way it's built. There shouldn't be any confusion. I could figure out my way around this game, which most modern gamers complain is too confusing and convoluted and clunky, and yet they built this into a game that came out in 2018. Now, one of the aspects that I still loved about Fallout 3 was that they had the inclusion of VATS. Now, VATS, of course, made it feel like the old-timey Fallout games where you could stop time, target the head or the limbs. That's a really cool concept. But VATS in Fallout 76, now I understand it's an online game. You can't just freeze time for everybody. That would be ridiculous. I don't even know how it's not even gonna work, right? But they included VATS in Fallout 76, and it's basically just like an aim assist. You just like hit VATS and then you can just like pull the trigger and it hits without like aiming. So the inclusion of VATS I felt was more just kind of like an afterthought. It's really clunky. It's not really well put together. It seems like a very weird concept that they're trying to hold on to from the past. I don't know. It's just dumb. Take it out. It's pointless. Maybe make that button do something else. It's just poorly implemented, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And I want to really get to the crux of this. One of the things that I wanted to see in this game was how the leveling system worked, because I heard that there was like a card system and that like the leveling system is awful. It is the most unimaginative pile of garbage that I think I've ever had the displeasure of experiencing. But this leveling system is literally mind-boggling. Who sat down and thought that this was a good idea? That basically like every few levels you get to put in a stat point, and then you have so many stat points, and then you can put in ability cards which modify your ability. Like, I would just prefer, like, you know, hey, go back to a normal leveling system. It probably would be more fun and make a lot more sense. I don't understand the reasoning behind the leveling system, and I just 0 out of 10 wouldn't play again, right? Like, it's just, to me, it was terrible. And I guess the last complaint that I have is it's a Bethesda game. If there's things that drove you nuts about any Bethesda game, it's going to drive you nuts in this game. I had moments where I had NPCs walking in between me and the other NPC that I was talking to. Like, just the usual, like, weird bugs that Bethesda is known for. They're still here. They're still here. It's generally a Bethesda experience. If you don't dig Bethesda games, then you're probably just don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. Don't just go play something else. But in all reality, if you like Bethesda games, if Bethesda games are your jam, your whole personality, you just love Bethesda, you'll probably like the game. And like, to each their own. This is one person's opinion. And, you know, you can say that I'm wrong and how, like, I just need to give the game another 60 hours and then it gets good. By the way, don't do that, because I don't believe that a game can get better if it's not good within the first few hours. Like, there's no getting better. It's because enjoyment is a subjective thing. It's not going to be the same for everybody. And for me, I think I'm pretty much done with Bethesda games. I see where they're taking them, and we probably should do another video discussing what Todd Howard had recently said about quality and how quality is their top priority. But that's for another video. But at least now, when I say I don't like Fallout 76, I have an informed opinion. I'm not just parroting other people's words. So don't take my word for it. Fallout 76 is on Game Pass. If you've got Game Pass, give it a shot and, try it. So then maybe you can also tell the world about how much you dislike Fallout 76. With that, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. Maybe you swing by and hang out on the Twitch channel, where right now, if you see this after it's released, I'm currently playing the very first Fallout and having a fantastic time. So come by, say hey, and until next time, stay weird, stay awesome, and I'll see you nerds in the next video.